They're not buying the technical SEO, they're not buying the local SEO, they're buying whatever's important for them. It feels like if you don't mention AI, you're not relevant. And that's what I found with SEO conferences. It's great as like a day out, but it's not gonna get you new business. The client was happily able to share that 2 million euro growth figure with us. What's worked really well for us consistently is partnerships, relationships with people. I think a good migration story is always how is it impacting the business commercially.
Hey, I'm Samy from Collaborator.pro. We are a PR and distribution marketplace connecting advertisers and publishers. And today I'm receiving Kevin Kapezi, founder of Growthack, a Nottingham agency that literally trademarked Beyond SEO and just won Best Use of Search at the 2026 European Search Awards. Kevin ran SEO across 20 plus EMEA sites at Experian before going solo, and now grows e-commerce, SaaS, and B2B brands through technical SEO, migration, AI search, and he also owns his own podcast, so he knows exactly what's up. Hey, Kevin, welcome to the program.
Wow, thanks for that intro. That was amazing. I don't have to introduce myself, so yeah, thanks for doing that.
Been working on my intros. I hope people are appreciating them.
No, I appreciate that. That was amazing. Thanks for that, Samy.
Cheers, man. Well, let's get started directly with the main topics. So beyond SEO, can you tell me a bit about it, what it actually means? So I've seen that on your LinkedIn and website. Trademarking the idea of aligning, I think, SEO, technical SEO, PPC, content instead of siloing everything. So everything is connected together. So isn't that just good marketing? Can you tell me a bit more, about this concept?
Definitely. So the whole concept behind Beyond SEO kind of came from, I think, how we work internally and the confusion, I think, in terms of our positioning in the market. So a lot of people come to us just thinking that, okay, these guys are just the SEO agency and all they do is technical SEO. But throughout my career, I've always worked very closely with the paid media team, conversion rate optimization team. I've always worked very closely with web development teams, etc. So we take this Beyond SEO approach with our clients when it comes to SEO, because everything is connected, right? If you've got a really good ad function within a business and that's operating really well, then of course you're going to get more customer reviews, you're going to get more customers through the door, etc., a better reputation, more visibility in general online, then that's going to feed into organic growth. So we've always taken this Beyond approach in terms of our function with interconnected teams, because I think every healthy business doesn't just rely on one channel. So we try and preach that to clients because it makes our job easier, right? If we work with a brand that's already got over 50,000 followers on social media, then that's going to help us with the SEO and the organic side of things.
100% is gonna really help close the sales sometimes, depending on the industries. Like if you have huge, as you say, following on social media, it can help a lot with the sales process. So how do you usually implement that? Let's say working with your clients, they have maybe lots of different stakeholders, depending on how they organize, they don't have all the same structure. How are you able to use the same process across different clients and be able to really connect all the different teams together?
Yeah, so every client is different. I'll give you a few scenarios. So one scenario might be a client comes to us just for the SEO element, but already have an existing paid media team that they're happy to work with. So we would try and align ourselves with whatever they have existing. So we would, come in as the organic side, and maybe we spot some opportunities on the website as a whole to improve certain journeys. But we would need to coordinate with the paid media team, and because they're going to be sending traffic to certain landing pages, which may change, which the structure might be enhanced. Maybe if it's a complete website redesign, so we would need to liaise with the existing teams that are available. But let's say it's a client that doesn't have any of that, literally comes to us to enhance the website experience. And then they kind of say, okay, this is going really great. We also need paid media, or we also need, something else to help us. Then we've got strategic partners that we work with that we could bring in and say, okay, yeah, we've got these recommendations and, definitely work with these guys. If you don't have somebody that you already want to work with, and then they would kind of work with us as a more complete offering on the paid and organic side. We found as well that whenever we do that, whenever we keep things a bit closer to Growthack, we get much stronger results because we're a bit more integrated.
Yeah.
And we've worked with the same consultant over a number of projects. We found sometimes when there's a third party involved that we've never worked with before, it's sometimes there's a bit of a mismatch in terms of how you operate, in terms of the
It creates friction.
yeah.
It just brings extra friction that you usually don't need.
Exactly, yeah. Friction, you could have completely different ways of operating as businesses, right? So we try and always look after our clients, and some agencies may not, spend as much time as we do because we don't have many clients. So some agencies might have hundreds of clients, I don't know. But
Yeah.
we've only got like 10 to 20 clients at any one time. So we're able to have a bit more of an in-depth approach with our clients.
Sounds good. So can you tell me how many clients do you have that you just do SEO for them, and or do you do like digital marketing for most of them? Like, do you go beyond SEO for most of them?
I'll say we've got probably a split of 70% as in just standard. We manage the technical SEO side of things. I'd say more recently we've had more clients where we're also offering the paid media side. I'll say maybe 30%. I'll say so 3 out of 10 clients would have at least something else. So paid media. Also recently we started offering more organic growth in terms of PR or authority building, which isn't really technical SEO. It's more of a specialized offering. I find, digital PR, not everybody can do it. Just because you do SEO doesn't mean you're going to be a great digital PR person, right? You need
100%.
You need those relationships, you need the know-how of how to structure the campaign. So we've got really
Patience
and all that stuff, setting out all that outreach, getting the rejection or silence and all that stuff. So we've got a really good partner who helps us with that. So I'll say it's becoming more 50-50 as we grow, and the Beyond SEO approach that we've trademarked is only still relatively new. So I think now our positioning is better. We're able to offer a bit more to anyone who comes to ask about our services going forward.
Gotcha. What do you think are the biggest like blind spots or problems that B2B clients encounter right now in terms of having too many silos that are not connecting together? Do you think, like, for example, they're just going to say, oh, we're going to do ads and then we're going to do SEO, but then they don't try to create the whole funnel, or maybe they don't rely enough on emailing, or what are usually the blind spots that you see with B2B clients?
I think B2B is definitely a different kettle of fish, to coin a phrase. It's a completely unique scenario compared to like e-com. So we've got pretty much an even split between e-com and B2B. Of course, I used to work in-house at Experian B2B in terms of their team managing 20 websites. Mm-hmm. In terms of our clients, the biggest challenge I see with B2B is the separation of the different functions or the different teams within the B2B team itself in-house. And then that kind of translates to the suppliers that they work with. I'll give you an example. So we recently worked with a B2B SaaS company, and we were the SEO team, and they had a completely separate paid media function that we never spoke to. And then they also had a completely different, I think, outsourced email kind of function that we never spoke to. So you got all these separations, and then even the way they managed the videos as well. So they had hundreds of videos that were hosted on Vimeo, and we know that YouTube is really powerful for SEO. And we're like, hang on a minute, there's all this potentially valuable content that you've got that's completely separated from your organic journey, how people are discovering your brand. And then when we look at competitors, and now AI visibility is the new thing, and they were asking about the AI visibility strategy. And then we're saying, okay, well, before we even talk about your AI visibility strategy, let's kind of sort this out first. The way you distribute your content is disjointed because you don't have all these different teams talking to each other. Whoever's producing these videos, they're obviously not talking to maybe the website team or the marketing team. They're producing these videos maybe for sales enablement, but they're not really speaking to the marketing function. So the whole disjoint, how can I say, it's not disjointment, but the whole disjoint approach to the business, to the B2B functioning teams starts in-house, and then it kind of translates to everything else. So I think that's the biggest challenge. It's just trying to, I think, coordinate what they're doing internally and then allow us to do our job as the external provider. I think that's the biggest challenge.
Got you. That's funny. That reminds me of my first experience 10 years ago here in Barcelona, where my CMO was fighting to try to create the marketing meeting. So to try to merge, finally get marketing and sales together. Yeah. It was such a fight for everything, man. It was hard to do anything together. Already just within the marketing department, that was hard. So yeah, definitely something tricky where you need more than hard skills, I would say. You need definitely the soft skills too, and be able to adjust your tone and communicate properly. And this way you can really move together in the same direction. Otherwise, we just like hustling, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But what's the common goal? Usually there's none.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the thing. Like there is a common goal, right? Everyone wants the business to have more revenue. Yeah. But all the teams have their own goals of activity, and activity sometimes is overvalued. I've done these X things, this month, kind of great job. Whereas, okay, how does that translate to the overall business? Sometimes they kind of don't look at that picture and just focus on their team's objectives, which sometimes just doesn't translate to the overall business. I think that's the biggest challenge.
Yeah, vanity metrics, basically. I mean, it's like SEOs focusing on just impressions and clicks, even sometimes, and like zero, especially on clicks that has zero, for example, transactional commercial intent. I'm getting all those impressions, I'm getting all those clicks, but does it translate in revenue at all? And if not, maybe you need to reassess and consider other aspects too.
Absolutely. And I think we're going down the same rabbit hole as well with this AI visibility stuff that's coming out. Okay, you got visibility in ChatGPT, right? What does that actually mean? So with everything that we do at Growthack, we try and focus on the growth aspect, the business growth aspect, which is the thing that will never change. Every business wants to grow. Every business wants to make more money. That's why they exist. So we try and have a strategy in mind for that, whether it's us doing the work ourselves as technical SEOs or bringing in partners to improve the website journey, to improve the overall customer acquisition aspect of the business. We try and just align ourselves as best as we can, because at the end of the day, we're not going to get paid if the business isn't profitable and making money.
Tell me a bit more about customer acquisition for both your clients and your own agency, if you are willing to share too, in terms of what worked for you and your clients, what didn't work, what you tried, what I'm currently building for you.
Yeah, customer acquisition for us, right, it's a challenge. I'll be honest with you. So I've tried several cold market strategies. And they've just
tried everything, no? I mean, I see you doing so many things when I'm like, really trying things out there. I'm like, wow, you have lots of patience and energy.
Well, patience and energy, sometimes too much patience. So I've tried some things where I've spent too much time on it, like, cold outreach on LinkedIn. And, I've had limited success on that. We've had some really big brands that we were able to speak with, but nothing that's like translated to a sale. So I'm not the expert, so maybe I'm doing it wrong. What's worked really well for us consistently is partnerships, relationships with people. Even like, obviously you're helping us with the, building a tool because we met in person, even though we've been connected on LinkedIn for like years, right? I think it's that human connection that's always helped us grow a business, stay in business. If it wasn't for all the referrals and partnerships that we've had over the years, like I wouldn't have a business. Like honestly, I'd be, working, for a corporate company. Maybe I'll still be at Experian. Partnerships are the number one thing for us. So I'm trying to develop more partnerships ourselves. I see the same thing for our B2B clients, I'd say. Even though, let's say, the website be where their potential client fills the form and an inquiry comes from, they might have had an interaction with that same person maybe 2 years ago at an in-person event, or they may have read some really cool content. I'm sure anyone who's in marketing, understands this, right? It's so difficult to pinpoint attribution in terms of what's working.
My God.
It's almost impossible, right?
It's the worst thing ever. Like I hate attribution.
Yeah. so it's just it doesn't make any sense to try and say, oh, this is definitely working. I think a lot of successful brands just are good at being consistent. I think
I was about to say consistent. Yes, the same thing, man. Like that's the key. It's not just like one thing. It's like doing the right thing, the best things over and over, and on all the different angles as you can, so. And
Exactly.
again, maybe we won't be able to pinpoint exactly what brought you this extra revenue, those new leads, but you have a general idea. You've been working so hard on improving all your processes. So I don't have to really know which article exactly brought me that lead. I'm fine as long as the business is growing.
Absolutely. And even like one of our B2B SaaS clients, the demand generation marketing manager, they went old school. They just hosted an event in London, at the Shard, and they literally just called up all their prospective potential clients, called them up and said, hey, we're doing an event, dinner, whatever fancy thing, invited them over. And that worked really well for them. They were able to get, bums on seats. They were able to fill those seats and get people in that room. And they worked really well. And that's not, groundbreaking. It's not like a new thing. It's just getting people in a room. So, yeah.
I think there's cycles too, because I feel like we kind of reaching, I don't know what level we are, but like deshumanization with AI. So just going back to actually meeting people face to face and organizing like simple events could actually, be the key depending on the momentum and the hype and all of that. So plus it always helped to, in my opinion, to actually meet people. When I go to conferences, I always come back with great contacts, new friends, new opportunities systematically.
Yeah, definitely. I'm trying to attend more events where there's no SEOs in the room. Like those are my dream events. Like if we can get to an event with just like B2B people, or maybe even PPC people, like people who are not in my discipline. I'm trying to get into those rooms. I think that's a lot more beneficial. That's what's working for me now. I'd say trying to be in the rooms where people like me aren't there. I want people who are different.
So fun you say that. I had Yamur on the podcast, Yamur Simshek. She was the organizer of Search and Stuff. And she was saying the same thing. And we just released the podcast too. She was like, I'm not going to SEO conferences anymore for lead gen. I'm just going sometimes to connect with my friends and all of that. But if you want a lead gen, I'm going to more like developer conferences or marketing conferences otherwise. Or other topics that are transverse, that are linked to SEO, where you can actually get leads, but where it's not saturated with all the same people selling basically the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I found with SEO conferences. It's great as like a day out, and then you learn you learn some things. You learn some things, catch up with some like old faces and stuff, maybe some new connections in the industry, but it's not gonna get you new business. So I think it's the same for like if you're a manufacturing company, going to a manufacturing event, is that going to get you leads? Maybe not. Maybe you need to go to, I don't know, where your potential buyers might be. Maybe the people who are making stuff or selling stuff rather, and need a manufacturer. I don't know. Just as an example, I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. But yeah, you try and be in those places where there's not many people who are selling what you sell. I think would be ideal.
So in terms of geo, AI search, like call it the way you want. I'm not fighting on the LLMO, LLMSEO, all those terms, like whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Fine with that. But so do you think like there's too much hype? What do you think of the current situation basically with people being like, oh, SEO is dead, geo is so different, it's a dedicated service. And sometimes they even just pitch geo without any SEO, any foundation, which I have opinions about, but I'm going to let you answer about that. So what do you think about the current situation, and how do you serve your clients when they come and they say, we want to do geo, we want to be on ChatGPT, we want to be there? And do you sometimes also reframe, the context and what would be the real goals and not just vanity metrics?
I'd say we are. It feels like if you don't mention AI, you're not relevant. I think for a lot of businesses, in particular, like B2B SaaS, AI is the thing that people want and want to buy and are happy paying money for. So we have to reframe, I think, as SEO with all these platforms that have come out. Even Google itself is more AI first, really, and has been for a while. So I think over the years, not just recently, we've had to shift in terms of how we approach SEO. So when clients come to us and say, hey, we want to, appear more in GEO, AEO, whatever, and have better visibility in those areas, we try and tie it back to, okay, what do you actually want to achieve commercially? So we always try and tie it back to that. So that's how we approach, whether it's SEO, whether it's AEO, GEO, whatever it is, we always try and tie it back to, okay, what do you want to do commercially? What does commercial results look like for your business over the next 12, 24 months?
Just want to appear there to impress my boss.
Yeah. Yeah, because listen, if you focus on the vanity metrics, they, look under those numbers and see if anything holds weight. And okay, you've got us all these clicks, all these impressions. Oh, we're number one for whatever in ChatGPT. But overall, as a business, we're really struggling and we've had to let people go. Then that's not really a great position to be in. So you might as well focus on that rather than just focus on the metrics in platform or in acronym, I'd say. Focus on what the business actually cares about. And then you kind of work backwards and say, okay, yeah, we can validate what we're doing. We've achieved this much visibility because we know it's aligned to this goal. And we can say, okay, we've got this inquiry because of all this activity, rather than say just the GEO metric or whatever it might be. I think that's a healthy approach to take.
Yeah, definitely. Focusing always trying to tie things to revenue.
But yeah, a lot of our clients come to us because they want to grow revenue, and that's the primary thing they're chasing, not just chasing brand visibility. They want to have brand visibility and commercial growth. So that's how we approach things for our clients. We are looking at more specific AI visibility tactics as well. So we're not just dismissing it. So yeah, we're certainly experimenting, and yeah, you're creating a free visibility checker tool with us, and we're going to use that to educate our clients in terms of, okay, yes, you are asking this question, but then when we jump on a call with them, we'll ask more commercial questions, and then kind of align their strategy in terms of, okay, yes, we can do XYZ, but we really want to focus on, okay, this audience that you want to attract, these are the channels that they're looking at, these are things that they care about, this is how you're going to get more customers, etc., as well as looking at, this is your visibility, and this is how where you are at the moment, and this is where we can take you.
I feel something that not many agencies do is really to blend the ICP and the pain points within the work to properly craft all the content and the strategy. And so I wanted to ask you about how to differentiate yourself. So many agencies selling the same things. How can you be different? What can you do? I think this is already something quite big to be able to, tell them, to really guide them, push back, focus on what's going to bring the most revenue potentially, and not vanity metrics. But also, like you mentioned, the tool. So this is also another aspect I think that agencies can use, quite low cost overall. Is to create your own tools and to showcase your expertise for both lead gen or even maybe internal use too later on. Do you have any other ideas that you think agency owners can use to kind of stick out of the crowd and be a bit different?
Yeah, definitely. Our podcast has helped, I think, in terms of that differentiation.
Okay.
We recently started working with a new brand, an e-com brand, and they literally coined the phrase Beyond SEO, on the sales call. So that was like validation for us. Okay, right, cool. Something's clicking here, and it kind of makes sense. And I was even speaking with somebody as part of an award application process. We had to do an interview. They know nothing about SEO, and I was explaining how we work and all that stuff. And then she completely got it. She completely understood what we were trying to do. So I think agency owners should clarify their messaging and how they work, and just make it as simplified as possible. Before, when I started working in SEO, we had all these different things like technical SEO, content SEO, local SEO, all these different variations of SEO. But as I've progressed and as I've matured in SEO, I've realized that's not what clients are buying. They're not buying the technical SEO. They're not buying local SEO. They're buying whatever's important for them. In terms of the Beyond SEO and our messaging, we've tried to simplify what we do, how we do it, aligned with what the client wants to achieve. Literally looking at our sales calls, and the common theme that came out in our sales calls was they wanted to attract new customers. So if you ever go on my LinkedIn profile or on the website, you might see attract new customers a few times.
And you reuse customer language everywhere to match properly the intent. That's smart.
Absolutely. And that's intentional. That phrase, attract new customers, is what the clients were asking for. So we've tried to match our messaging, aligned with what the clients were actually looking for on the sales call. So I think every agency's probably got their own phrase. So, look for that phrase in your sales calls, in your notes, and try and map your language around what clients actually want to buy from you, rather than, maybe it's not GEO, or maybe it is, just try and find that phrase that they're looking for.
And do you think those awards, like you were mentioning, the European Search Awards, also mentioned that in the intro. Can you tell me a bit about the awards? I'm not really familiar with the whole thing, because I think you need to pay to apply on this, and then so there are judges that select depending on some categories, so you can apply in different categories. Can you tell me a bit about the process, and maybe if you were able to attribute any direct sales to that, or maybe like I don't know, a lead would mention that, being like, oh, by the way, I saw that you got those awards. Basically, I'm wondering if it really has an impact.
Honestly, I'm not sure about that at this moment in time. We've applied for awards for over 3 years now, and we've been lucky enough to win 4 awards over that period of time. We don't apply for many awards, so we're very strategic in terms of the awards we go for. So B2B and e-com are our main areas, so we try and go for those categories. It certainly helps in terms of, I think LLMs now, they are referencing things like awards. So anything that's a bit more industry focused. So it helps on that front. I don't know if it's going to generate leads for us in the future. Maybe it will. I think it's like anything. It's like getting customer reviews. I think it's a similar approach. Like you don't attribute getting a client because of that one customer review, but if you've got 50 or 100 customer reviews, then you look more credible. Yeah. So I think it's something that just, materializes over time. Let's say if you win 10 awards, like obviously that looks a lot better than somebody who's just won 1 award. So I think that's the way I'm looking at awards. maybe I'm wrong there, but I'm thinking we're quite, I'll say, we're not as mature enough, I think, to say awards are doing this for us. Let's say maybe we win like 10 awards or something, maybe, and then say, okay, yeah, all right, we look a bit more credible than the agency who's only got a couple of awards. Maybe that's gonna put us in a better conversation. I don't know.
I appreciate the honesty. That's cool. Also, I think there's an aspect that we don't really, we can't measure too. I mean, it's hard to measure anything, but some things we can measure. It's just the psychological effect it's going to have on you, and how it's going to impact the leads too, depending on the kind of leads. And sometimes it's going to be subconscious even, and just going to just see the awards and then think about it again when they want to buy from you, the payment moment or the moment to make the deal. But yeah, I think it doesn't hurt for sure, especially if you display them. If you talk about that, it shouldn't hurt.
No, it shouldn't hurt. I don't think it's the negative thing. So it's on our website, it's on our LinkedIn, it's in our sales decks, that we've won these awards. And if we're speaking to a B2B company that wants to work with us and say, oh, we've won this B2B award, I think it helps. It certainly helps. So I think those relevant niche awards, we're trying to go after them. Let's say if we want to work with more retail companies, having a retail award would be amazing. So we're trying to be very strategic in terms of the awards.
Okay, so go for awards, but again with the same overall consistent, smart approach. Not try to go for like all the random awards, or maybe the one that are too hard to get. So you go for what you do the best, very specific, very niche. Then you reuse that to try to sign more leads in the same niche, and create a virtuous loop, basically. In that way, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Absolutely. Even local awards as well. So we're based in Nottingham in the UK, and we're part of the East Midlands Chamber. So there's a lot of different cities surrounding Nottingham. So sometimes we go after these East Midlands awards, and then it helps us go into rooms that are outside of Nottingham. So let's say like Leicester or Derby that are nearby. We meet these different business communities. So I think, trying to go after those regional awards as well will help. Just open doors and just be in rooms that you're not usually in. I'd say that's what we're trying to work on as well.
By the way, do you work mostly with UK clients or European?
Yeah, mostly UK. We've worked with some companies based abroad, like one company based in Canada a few years ago. Not many companies, I'll be honest with you. We would like to work with more international brands. From the conversations I'm having with other agencies, it seems like the ones that are really growing have a lot of US clients on their books. So if we want to grow, then we kind of need to, diversify and have maybe a US client here or Canadian or Australian or whatever. So yeah, we are open-minded to definitely working with clients abroad. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I wanted to move up to next section about the 2026 core updates. I think we talked about this real quickly too in Barcelona when we saw each other. And if I'm not wrong, I think you wrote a while ago that indexation is no longer a default state. It's a filtered outcome. And can you tell us a bit more about that, what you've seen, and what measures you've taken, if any, to help with indexing and to get your clients' content indexed properly and not discovered, not indexed, crawled, not indexed. All those Google Search Console nice messages that you don't want to see.
Absolutely. It's so strange, we've got this one ecom client, and before the March core update, everything was going up. Like traffic was going up, visibility, rankings, all that stuff. We were like, okay, we're smashing it. Then the March core update came, and we're like, well, hang on a minute, like things are going down a little bit. What's happening here? And then another update came, like the May update came, and then I was like, okay, things are still trending downwards. And it's like, it feels like Google have like hit a button and said, all right, this is our budget now, and we've reduced that budget even further. Whereas before you could have like maybe 5 collections that are kind of similar to the same topic. Now Google just wants to have that one collection. Like
no cannibalization, bro. Like
cannibalization,
it's not the same thing. Look alike.
You're getting hit hard. So we're on it now in terms of monitoring that a lot closer. So yeah, before we could have a lot of sub collections. I think now we're just consolidating a lot of our collections into stronger pages. That's been our approach so far for that ecom client in particular. Whereas before we could just get away with just having these multiple pages. But yeah, Google's now not liking those that approach anymore.
It's very interesting. So have you seen it impacting only huge sites, also medium-sized sites? Like, does it have to be like a huge e-commerce with tens of thousands of SKUs, or have you seen the same thing happening on on smaller websites too?
Well, that example, they stock, what is it, around 3,000 products maybe?
Okay, maybe, not that huge. No.
Yeah, it's not that huge. So I'll say it's a medium-sized site. And then we've got another brand, similar size, about over 1,000 products. Same thing, cannibalization. I think it's a common trend across e-com. You really need to clean that up. Multiple collections fighting for the same traffic, even though they may not look similar on the face of it, but then when you look at the intent,
it's the same. Yeah,
it's the same. Like we had this one query where it's like bathroom seating, and then we had another collection called shower chairs. You wouldn't think those, bathroom seating and shower chairs, you wouldn't think that's the same thing. But when you do a search for that, it's the same thing, like the same kind of products come up. So we've had to consolidate those kind of themes where before, like we could get away with just not having that consolidated approach. So I think you have to be really careful about efficiency. I think efficiency is the big word for us this year. Really be efficient. Your site needs to be as efficient as possible. You can't have these splinters that are gonna mess up your ability to gain that traffic.
So how do you fix that at scale? Because when you say there are like thousands of SKUs, I assume dozens or hundreds of collections. Do you automate some of it? Is it still mostly manual work to be able to identify where the cannibalization is happening and then to consolidate the collections together?
Yeah, so we've got a hybrid approach, I'd say. Some of it is manual. Some of it is like literally looking at the important collections. We still track rankings. I think rankings are still a good signal to see how things are shifting up and down in terms of visibility. Obviously, rankings don't mean too much in the grand scheme of things, right? Your ranking number one doesn't mean you're ranking number one. So we take a pinch of salt in terms of what it means, but in terms of seeing, okay, if something's gone up or down in a month, then we need to understand, okay, what's the reason behind that? Okay, why does Google not like this page anymore? What's happening in terms of the cannibalization? So we use SEO Monitor, and it will show you, if your page has switched to another page and switched back to a page, it will show you that cannibalization in a nice visual format. And also you're able to, identify all the different groupings of your pages. So we've put collections in its own little folder, and then we track, let's say, collections ranking 1 to 10, those pages. And we also automate the tracking of anything that's dropped out of the top 10. over a period. So we're able to see what's moving up, what's moving down, what's new in the top 10. So we've got all the different buckets. So if something's dropped out of the top 10, we want to understand why. Okay, why is this dropped out? What is Google preferring? And you can see the competitors as well. We are automating our alerts. So if something has dropped out by a certain percentage, we get an email alert and then we kind of look into it. So there's certain things that we are automating, but for sure, you still have to look at the Google result page and understand the context, the intent. I think for certain things, you still need to have that manual approach to understand things in a bit more detail, and also have a conversation with the client, because the client would have a valid reason for categorizing something a certain way. Then you have to educate them and say, okay, yes, I understand from a clinical perspective, that's how you describe your product. If you do want to get traffic for this, you kind of need to change how you name this thing. So yeah, we've had to have several conversations with clients and educate them around that. So
how do you deal with content decay? Because cannibalization, a huge issue, especially this year, as you said. But I feel like content decay is also can also create those kind of issues. Just like you haven't updated the content in a while, you need a refresh, maybe some more sources, FAQs, go deeper in query fan out, identify more subtopics. How do you do that for your clients? Is it something that you do once per quarter? Depends on the clients. How do you tackle this topic?
It certainly depends on the client. So we work with a law firm, a national law firm based in the UK. And yeah, content decay is big. So we might have something like a divorce guide that was like performing really well, getting leads for them, traffic, etc., ranking top half of Google, all that stuff. And then over time, it just becomes less relevant because there's a new legislation that's been rolled out, etc. So it needs an update. So I think in definitely those scenarios, you always need to keep updating and refreshing your content depending on your industry. So legal, for sure, anything where there's change in legislation, I'd say content freshness is more important. Let's say you have an SEO blog, right? There's changes nearly every day. So keeping it fresh is going to be important. So yeah, I think generally speaking, just updating your content is good. It's good hygiene, just to make sure that it's got the latest information on that.
Okay, so thanks for your input on this. Next, I wanted to ask you about migrations. I think you had a headline case study around migrations and
Yes.
huge success. I don't know if the number was like 2 million or something. I had some notes around that. Ended up in 2 million of growth.
Yeah.
So most of the migration stories that I've heard are usually nightmare stories. And even my own migration stories, like the one I remember, actually, it's really like when something went really wrong. I also have like a few very great stories, but most of the time it's not. So can you tell us a good migration story, please?
A good migration story, right? Okay, I'm glad you're asking that question because we had a near scare this year as well with one of our other migrations. But yeah, a good migration story. So that example that you mentioned, it is called. It was for a manufacturing brand. They are based in the UK, but they operate internationally. So the migration was to not only enhance their UK visibility, but also give them an opportunity to expand overseas, create a US specific strategy for them, etc. as well. And what we did is, again, what we talked about earlier, aligning what they do commercially or how they operate commercially with how the website should look. They had this thing around how they describe their offering. So they talked about systems. Everything was like an S. Systems, services. All these different ways in which they talked about their products. I can't remember all the other S's. And how I'd always approach it for any client is saying customer lenses. So how are customers viewing your product? Are they viewing it via industry, via systems, or whatever it might be, the terminology, and then try and bucket those different pages when you are restructuring the site. So that's kind of the approach that we took. And also we identified that they were getting a lot of traffic to their blog pages, which is obviously a huge risk. In that migration, what actually happened is the traffic went down. So after the migration, we got a lot of questions in terms of, okay, the traffic's going down. How am I able to report this back to the board? This isn't looking good. So we had to go through a process where we explain, okay, this is why your traffic is down, and it's this type of traffic that's down. But when we looked at their commercial traffic, the commercial traffic was actually up. It was up by like over 100%. But their overall traffic was, let's say, down by 50% because it's been eaten up by AI overviews. I think a good migration story is always how is it impacting the business commercially, and we try and look for those numbers. So if we're able to get the business to report back on, okay, what have you seen on the ground, then that makes up a much better story than, oh yeah, we just got all these rankings and traffic and all that stuff that doesn't really make any sense. But luckily the client was happily able to share that 2 million euro growth figure with us, and they were able to be accurate with it because they tracked their leads and how much lead is worth. So we were able to submit that actual figure, and usually you can't do that.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool, man. I haven't had this kind of story yet. Maybe in the future, but I also don't do too many migrations anymore. I don't have the patience for that too much.
They're a nightmare. I mean, we've just done another migration just recently. So we do a lot of migrations, it seems, because we have this really strong partnership with a web design agency. So they come with us and say, oh yeah, we've got this new website that we're building for a brand. Can you help us with it, kind of thing.
Yeah, going back to the partnership ideas angle that you mentioned earlier, I think it's something we probably didn't say enough. It's like people are like, yeah, but who to partner with? Well, like find again other verticals where they need you. Like I think developer, web designer is great. You can find other ones like even GTM agencies, and you help each other, you share the leads. And if it works well in terms of duration, that can be really, really advantageous for both parties and create like a really strong relationship instead of just a one-shot nice event,
Definitely. Yeah, I'll say that. Web dev and paid media, those two partnerships seem to be working really well for us at the moment. I'd love to have more partnerships. So yeah, I'm trying to see what we can do there.
How do you work them out? Do you have a standard? Like, let's say you bring a client to them, they bring one to you, or it's always like commission based, or it depends on the partners?
It depends on the partner, I'd say. What I found though is honestly like the best partnerships we've had are pretty organic. So like we would refer a client and we wouldn't really have like a spreadsheet where we're tracking like how much business we're sending to them, how much business sending to us. Just like we'll just keep referring business, where relevant, and just a mutual trust kind of arrangement. I'll send you a client, knowing that at some point they might send me a client, and it kind of works that way.
Yeah.
Before we would say, oh yeah, we want 15% commission and all this stuff, but then to be honest, the commission is not something that I value. I don't value the commission. I value the partnership. I value the business, the constant referrals that coming in. That's what I value rather than
the relationship and long-term retention. That makes sense. Okay,
exactly.
Cool. So this is something I feel like we could get easily trapped into just focusing on the commissions and not be like, okay, I can make extra revenue right now, but long-term, as you said, that might be the best way would be to really focus on the relationships. I think maybe you can work out some commission in there too, but maybe it shouldn't be the main focus.
Yeah, I'll say so. Like, I'm not too worried about commission. I mean, like, what's 15% commission going to do for me? Not too much. so I'm not too worried about it. I'm more worried about, okay, if we get a client and then they're with us for 12 months, that's really valuable for me.
Awesome. So I won't have to pay you any commissions when you send me clients. Good. Let me write it down. So yeah, I was asking you, is there anything else that you want to mention, if there are like any topics that we didn't touch enough before we ask you the final questions?
No, I think we've covered everything. I'm hoping that I was helpful for your audience. If they found anything that was insightful, in the middle of my rambling, I'm hoping there was some gems in there.
So for the rapid fire, let's see what do I have here. Short question, short answers. GEO, AO, LLMO, it depends. One term to delete from the industry forever.
LLMO is very hard to pronounce. Off the top of my head, I'll say that one. What is that?
I don't know. It has LLM inside though.
Yes, it does. But as we say, it's non-deterministic. You can't really optimize for the LLM. Like really, if we really want to think about that. I don't know.
Ranking myth you'd like to disappear, or you're tired of hearing anything that you heard, especially this year, maybe?
On ranking myth, I'll say I think before it was all about content scale and producing like hundreds of articles a month, or where it is. Those case studies that you used to see on LinkedIn and say, oh yeah, yeah. Well, I don't want to mention any names, but I think that needs to die as soon as possible. It's definitely not about how much content you can produce. It's more so the quality.
You think it's finally going to be the year of voice search? We've been talking about it for the last, 7-8 years. Maybe now with the glasses and all the AI tools for voice, do you think it's finally going to change, or?
I don't know. I'm still on the fence on that one. I don't think there's going to be enough people who would want these kind of products for voice search. I just don't think the uptake is going to be there. I know Meta is pushing their thing and Google's pushing their thing, but from the conversations I'm having with people who are like, let's say, I'll categorize as normal people, people who aren't creepy, who want to record people all the time, the glasses and all that stuff. I don't think it's going to be like mainstream. I think, yeah, for sure, there's going to be like a certain group of people that are going to want these products, but I don't think it's going to be like mainstream, like in terms of like majority of people, using these kind of products. I can't see it happening. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, I think. Is I'll say maybe not voice search, but definitely conversational search. I'll say that conversational search for sure, 100%. That's going to be on the rise for sure. But voice search, in terms of all these different things you can put on yourself, I'm not sure.
Final one final tip or thing that every agency owner should steal from you. Anything that you want to share? I know that you have lots of experience trying many different channels, failing with many different things. So is there like one or two things that you want to share to wrap this up?
To wrap this up, I'll say, SEO is always evolving, right? So just continue to test new things. Like there's some recent things that we've worked on that have surprised me, in all honesty, like how effective they are. Like, for example, one client we're helping build the authority, with PR. And one thing that's working really well is like competitions, like, competitions with publications, getting their product featured and getting their audience to try and win one of their products, etc. It's working really well. Like more people searching for the brand. It sounds so basic, but it seems to be working. It seems to be really effective. So I'll say just continue trying these classic marketing things that seem to be working really well. I'll say, yeah, these classic things seem to do well over time.
All right, man. Thanks so much, Kevin, for your time. It was super fun. Do you want to share with us where people can find you and follow you?
Yeah, just find me on LinkedIn. Honestly, my surname is not, there's not a lot of us around. So, Kevin Kapezi, Google me, find me on LinkedIn, and yeah, you should be able to reach out to me.
Awesome. Well, that's it, guys and girls. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Please like, share, subscribe, all of that, and give us feedback to see next other topics. Please share any thoughts that you have. And thanks for watching. We are Collaborator.pro, a PR and distribution marketplace connecting advertisers and publishers. And until next time, bye.